Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be going through my vintage science fiction and fantasy collection. There's so many books. It's kind of ridiculous, and there's a particular type of book as well that is kind of insane, but we'll get to that. That'll be the last thing we get to. Like, the pile is up here, as you can see. First, I need a cup of coffee, and if any of you are eagle-eyed Star Trek The Next Generation viewers, you will know that these are the cups that they use on the Enterprise. And like, some of the interior design is insane. Like, the chairs in 10 Forward are beautiful, and yeah, like every time I have a drink I'm like, oh, what is that cup? I want one. Turns out they're the Bodium, like a bistro cup or something. People are selling them on eBay for like 30 quid per cup. Don't worry, I didn't do that. I found someone, maybe they was like naive and they didn't know what they had, but they were selling like a whole bistro set with a cafetiere, 4 cups, 4 coasters, a sugar cup and a milk cup, and I got it for like 20 quid still. So cheers. And this is a Nespresso coffee. I think it's the Ginseng Delight, which is quite nice. Just gonna put it next to my pheasant. So where are we gonna start? Well, we're gonna start with the not technically science fiction or fantasy, Crash by J.G. Ballard. I recently got this because I enjoyed the novel and I kind of wanted the, not necessarily the first edition, because first editions are crazy hella expensive, but like a vintage copy. And this one is from 1975. It's Panther Books. I do enjoy the Panther Books edition, and it says J.G. Ballard Crash, a brutal erotic novel. So I just felt like I had to have that in my collection. And then The Shining by what's-his-face? Stephen King. What's-his-face? Is it science fiction / fantasy? Like, there's like weird magical powers in it, isn't there? I mean, it's obviously more horror. And I got the movie poster edition because I love the Stanley Kubrick movie, and apparently it's wildly different to the book. I was supposed to read this years ago when I first started my channel. I said I was going to read like all the books that Stanley Kubrick made into movies. Haven't done it yet. I think I've read one. Dream Story. We're just going to say and move swiftly on. Next, I've got a collection of fantasy books. As you might be able to tell, the towers of books that go up to here, they're all science fiction. So as much as I love fantasy, I am definitely a vintage sci-fi girly obsessed with science fiction covers from years gone by. But the fantasy ones that I have, so we've got The Broken Sword by Paul Anderson. This is a novel about elves. I think there's like the idea that there was children swapped, and so there was like a human child that went to live with the elves and an elven child that lived with the humans. It's like Norse inspired, and yeah, there's like a great battle or something. I haven't read it yet. I think I got this from a Canadian eBay seller because I wanted this cover. Was it expensive? Yes, it was. So it better be like one of the best books I've ever read. That's probably why I haven't read it yet, just because the sheer thought of the shipping and the price of a paperback might not live up to the contents within. Like this. The King of Elfland's Daughter by Lord Dunsany. Technically one of the first fantasy novels ever, even before Mr. Tolkien, Mon Amour. It's a bit crap, to be honest. I found it quite boring. To begin with, I was intrigued and I thought, oh yes, this is so poetic. I am enjoying this. And then it just started to get slower and slower, and then there was like certain phrasing that was used over and over again. Over the fields we know. So it's not about fairy, it's about the mortal realm, the human realm, the fields we know, over the fields we know. And he looked over the fields we know. There past 10 years, over the fields we know. And then we've also got the first 2 books in the Wheel of Time series. This is 2004, but allegedly after some research, because I was like, what is vintage? 20 years is vintage. 2004 is vintage, baby. And then there's this like kind of typical 90s cover, I believe. Yeah, 1990. It's actually in pretty decent condition for being older than I am. But yeah, I'm actually currently reading The Great Hunt, although I'm reading it on audiobook because I have discovered that Rosamund Pike, the actress who plays Moraine, has done the audiobooks for the first 3 books, and let me just say, she's sensational. Like, I read this whole mammoth one in December. Sensational. I'm nearly finishing this one. Never in my life did I think I'd be able to get through books like this. I did try reading this a couple of years ago and I just got stuck. I think I was like 4 chapters in or something. But I just get so intimidated by long books because I can't stick with things. Like, I'm just constantly, I'm reading about 8 different books at one time, and I just find it really tricky to get through long books unless they really, really, really grab my attention and I really try to stick with them. But yeah, like, audiobooks are a saving grace to get through long fantasy. Right, let's get on to standalone science fiction books. So first up, we've got this rotten copy of Jurassic Park. It's from 1993 because it's the movie tie-in edition. It's the same age as me. I'm vintage. Growing up, Jurassic Park was one of my favourite movies ever. Me and my sister used to watch it religiously, and we basically wanted to become paleontologists because of this. We had like this dinosaur book that we'd flick through all the time because we were just obsessed. And it turns out this is a pretty decent book as well. Like, a lot of it is different to the movie. And do I prefer the movie? Yeah, I do. But it's Spielberg, man. Like, there's just a magic that he weaves with storytelling. It's like, the whole story arc of Alan Grant in the movie, I feel, is more powerful and gives him more of a full-rounded character development. There's added time pressure in this one because there's like a ship that's got dinosaurs going across the ocean, which I felt like it didn't really necessarily need, but alas, it's in there. But yeah, like, it's quite enjoyable, but I felt like I needed to read it, being a fan of the movies. Oh, that's quite strong at the bottom. Holy caffeine! Next we have Swan Song by Brian M. Stableford. I saw this on eBay and I was like, oh, that's quite a cool cover. I mean, it's a bit like, hello. Beautiful woman lounging sexily on the cover, but who cares? Turns out it's the 6th book in a series. Oh dear. Oh well. Maybe I'll read the other ones, but yeah, like, I just thought it looked cool and like very retro. When is it from? Oh yeah, look at like the aging on the pages. This is old. 1975. Nice. Forgot to go through all of them with the dates. Oh well. Then we've got Dune Messiah, the sequel to Frank Herbert's masterpiece, Dune. I still haven't read this, and I've been meaning to, but I feel like I need to reread Dune because it's been years since I've read it or maybe I'll just read it after I've watched part 2 of the movie. I enjoyed the first book, and it's about time that I read the next book. This is from 1969. Again, I think this is another eBay procurement. Mouldy little pages, like the design on it. It's very cool. Next up, we've got 2 Ursula K. Le Guins. So we've got The Dispossessed and The Left Hand of Darkness. Are they both Panthers? They are both Panther editions. Dispossessed is from 1976 and The Left Hand of Darkness is from 1969. Yeah, I haven't actually read any Ursula K. Le Guin, and I know she's quite known for her fantasy as well, like the Earthsea Chronicles or series, but these intrigued me. Yeah, so like there's one about like revolution and political stuff, and then this one I think is an exploration of someone going to explore a new planet, so like very Star Trek-y, in discovering new worlds, and all of the inhabitants on this planet are of the same sex, so then in a way it's like kind of a study on gender, and could then relate to our real world ideas of gender and how that's shifting and changing currently. Right, so I thought that was intriguing. I'll get to these soonish. Next up, we've got William Gibson's Neuromancer. I think I did start reading this. Oh yeah, look, there's a trademark bookmark. 63 pages in. Don't know what happened. I don't know whether I was just like a bit like, meh, I'm not really in the mood for this at the moment. But yeah, it's like this seminal cyberpunk novel. It's about a guy that, I don't know, I can't remember what it's about. Case is hired to steal data from one of the almighty megacorps. Riding shotgun is Molly, a wired-up samurai. They venture deep into the Matrix amongst the gangsters of the sprawl, only to confront the Neuromancer, who is playing a game far deadlier than their own. So yeah, like, it's kind of what has movies inspired things like Cyberpunk 2077. Blade Runner kind of got there a bit before it. Like, I remember reading that this author was like, oh shit, like, is everyone just going to think I've copied this film? But I don't know whether that strictly has any real similarities other than vibes maybe of like the city. But yeah, this is a 1995 copy, so still vintage. It's so 90s it hurts. You can just tell that this was made in the 90s, and that's kind of what I like about it. And then we've got a couple of Arthur C. Clarke's, Childhood's End and Rendezvous with Rama. I've actually read this one, shock horror, one out of how many books that we've seen so far. I do buy a shit ton of books and then not read them, but just gonna have to apologise by the light. It's the sun. I have no control over the elements. Yeah, so this is like set on a weird revolving vessel spaceship thing, and it's basically about a team of scientists going to explore it. It was alright. There was like a sexist chapter in it that I thought was just absolute trash. It's called Men, Women and Monkeys, and yawn is all I can say. Some women, Commander Norton had decided long ago, should not be allowed aboard ships. Weightlessness did things to their breasts that were too damn distracting. It was bad enough when they were motionless, but when they started to move, the sympathetic vibrations set in. It was more than any warm-blooded male should be asked to take. He was quite sure that at least one serious space accident had been caused by acute crew distraction after the transit of an unholstered lady officer through the control cabin. So what you're saying is it's men's problem of being distracted by female anatomy. Get it right, Commander Norton. That really annoyed me when I read it, actually. Like, really annoyed me. And then this book is about like aliens coming to Earth and being overlords, but it's kind of utopian, but then something happens and the children start to leave. Interesting. Next we've got a couple of short story collections. So we've got the Nightmare, skipped 2 words. The Four-Dimensional Nightmare by J.G. Ballard, and this is a Penguin science fiction. Oh, I didn't tell you how old my Arthur C. Clarke's were. So Rendezvous with Rama, 1975, and Childhood's End, 1974. Yeah, so Four-Dimensional Nightmare, this is Penguin Books, is 1963, so this might be one of the oldest ones I've got so far. Basically a short story collection from the master of freakiness. It just tells you a few of the stories. So, man abandoned in a dry, decaying world of automation. Earth brushed by the tentacles of civilizations from outer space. Time, music, poetry, beasts and flowers blossoming into new and garish forms. In these stories, the author of The Drowned World, tipped by Kingsley Amis for the most imaginative of world successors, gives warning of man's arid tinkling destiny. And then we've got Ray Bradbury's I Sing the Body Electric, which I will stand by. That looks like the coolest album cover that never was. Like, imagine if it was more square and you've got like, this is the band, so it's got like 4 men in it, and then like that's the title of their album. Yes, I would live for that. Fucking cool. Do I know anything about it? Not really, so let's read the blurb. I Sing the Body Electric is an amazing collection of stories from the brilliant imagination of Ray Bradbury. In it, he has created a galaxy of strange characters and remarkable situations. Characters out of time and situations way out of the ordinary. There is the story of Pi, P-Y, a human baby born into another dimension, or the lost Martian city which suddenly begins a new and extraordinary existence, and a captivating electronic grandmother who can cook and listen and love. Strange. It just looks really cool. And this is Corgi Science Fiction Collector's Library, and there's quite a lot of really cool covers in this collection, but this one was my favourite. This was published in 1975. Next we're going on to the one, the only Mr. Isaac Asimov. Got a collection of the Foundation series. I don't think I've got every book in the series, but I think I've got every single book but the prequel novels, maybe. I've got some of the robot books, and then I've got like a standalone or 2 of his as well. So we'll start with the standalones. Pebble in the Sky. I'm sorry, but that looks like the Silver Surfer. This is from 1974. But yeah, like it's quite old, tarnished looking. Sphere science fiction. When Joseph Schwartz walked past the Institute for Nuclear Research in Chicago, he raised one foot in the 20th century and lowered it in Galactic Era 8 to 1927. He was still on Earth, but at a time when mankind had colonised the galaxy and the people of the home planet were outcasts, clinging to the soil of a radioactive world. A revolution of Earth's militarists threatened the galactic empire with chaos, and strangely, Schwartz found himself the only man who could avert the disaster. Intriguing. And then we've got The End of Eternity. This is another Panther science fiction edition. This was published in 1974. Well, this edition is like, the actual book is like 1959. But yeah, this sounds really intriguing as well. So his name was Andrew Harlan. He was an Eternal, a member of a highly exclusive organisation. He was a technician, and his job was to range through past and present centuries, monitoring and even altering time's myriad cause and effect relationships. But when he met Noyes, N-O-Y with 2 dots above the Y-S, no clue, he fell victim to a phenomenon older than time itself: love. It was then that he realised that he must use the awesome technique of the Eternals to twist time so that they might survive together. The End of Eternity is science fiction for the connoisseur. It is mind-bending storytelling by the world's greatest master of science fiction, Isaac Asimov. So it's like a science fiction love story. Yes. So yeah, I'm really intrigued by this. I might read this quite soon, actually. Like, could read it for Valentine's Day. Oh, then there's another one. Earth is Room Enough. I forgot that, or I didn't see that. This is another Panther edition. Oh, okay, I think this is actually... Is it a collection of short stories? I think so, I'm not sure. Yeah, so there's a collection of short stories, and I think they're all robot short stories, maybe, don't know. And when was this? This is quite old, 1978, so someone just didn't look after it very well. A bit mouldier than some of the 74s. But yeah, I don't really know what that one's about. It's a collection of short stories about robots. I think I'm missing one, because I do have The Naked Sun here, which I did start reading, and then I realised it was a sequel to a book, and I then got that book, and I can't find it. Oh, that nearly knocked my tower. But yeah, I've lost the book before this one. I can't remember what it is. Caves of Steel. I've lost the Caves of Steel. I don't know where that's gone. These are like detective robot novels, which are quite cool. Yeah, like I said, I did start reading The Naked Sun, but then realised swiftly that it wasn't the first in a series. But yeah, this is the HarperCollins Science Fiction and Fantasy 1993 edition. And then we've got like another collection of robot stories. This is I, Robot, Robots and Empire. For some reason, one of the pages is really weird on this. Like, it hasn't been cut properly, so it just like sticks out. Strange. And this is from... Wow, this omnibus edition was published in 2005, so it's not quite vintage. Fuck off. Foundation books. I've read 3 of these so far, and I think I've still got 3 to go. I'm not sure, actually. Who knows? But yeah, so obviously there's like the first one, Foundation. This is from 1994. Foundation and Empire is the next one, which always confused me because I always think second Foundation is the second book. It's not. And I remember putting this in like a reel or something of my favourite books that I read in a year. It was not this one, it was this one. Fuck's sake. 1985 maybe? 1995, Foundation and Earth. Oh, that's got a mysterious stain inside it. 1986, Foundation's Edge. Is that the last one? I'm not sure actually. 1984, Panther books. And then Prelude to Foundation. Oh, that is a prequel. So maybe I've only got one of the prequels, and this was from 1989. So yeah, they're all my Asimov novels. Do love a good bit of Isaac Asimov. And then next is perhaps the most ridiculous collection of all, and it is my collection of Star Trek novels. I don't know what's happened. I went a bit mental on the internet. Do you even want to see how many there are in this pile? It is a thing of insanity. Look, oh my god. I don't even know what to do or how to show you these. It's crazy. I don't know why I've got so many or how I ended up with so many. I just guess I kept buying them. So we've got Bloodlust. This is like a vampire-y book. 1987. How Much for Just the Planet? No clue what this is about. Dilithium. So I think they're like fighting over a planet of resources. 1987. The Cry of the Onleys. I don't know. So these are all like the original series books. 1989. Chain of Attack. Paul Scotty. 1987. Time Trap. So, a freak accident hurls Captain Kirk 100 years into the future, where he finds a Klingon empire at peace with the Federation. Dun dun dun. 1988. Ishmael. I don't know what any of these are about. I did know what they were about at the time when I got them. 1989. Memory Prime. 1988. Star Trek 7, so this is like a retelling of some of the episodes, which are quite fun to read. 1973. Yeah, you can tell that's old. Planet of Judgment. 1977. The Entropy Effect. I think this is about, like Spock has to go back in time to save Captain Kirk, who is murdered. Things you do for love. 1981. Devil World. 1985. Oh, I bought this one recently because it's like Jurassic Park meets Star Trek. First Frontier. Oh, and like for some reason it's got like a bit of a chunk out of it. Oh well. When testing a new shielding device, the USS Enterprise is caught in the middle of a Klingon-Romulan battle. When the Enterprise crew rescues a life pod, they are confronted by a Klingon who claims to know nothing of human existence. Convinced the Klingon is telling the truth, Captain Kirk hurries to Starfleet headquarters in search of answers. But upon arriving on Earth, the Starship Enterprise crew finds that Earth is a vast jungle-like paradise, where large reptilian animals rule with no sign of human life anywhere. Now Kirk must travel to the past in search of the key to the mystery or face the destruction of the human race. 1995. Doctor's Orders. Basically where Bones takes over the ship. I still need to read this. 1990. Oh, there it is. Caves of Steel. 1974. Back to Star Trek. Star Trek 2. So again, collection of episodes retold. This is 1979. I think the reason why I got this one is because it's got the city on the edge of forever, which I think is a really great episode. Oh, an arena. The 3-Minute Universe. Queen Uhura on the front. Yes. 1988. The Covenant of the Crown. This looks like it's set like in the movie era of the original series. 1981. Ghost Walker. Look at that weird little creature. 1991. Wow, look how pristine that is. Whoa. Mind Shadow. This one's rotten as fuck. Whoa. What the devil? 1986. Number 8, again, episode retellings, so this is probably going to be from the 70s. Yeah, 1972. The Patreon Transgression. 1994. The Prometheus Design. 1982. The IDIC Epidemic. 1988. Number 3, you'll have seen me read this on my Star Trek readathon. Hilarious. I don't quite know why it's in cellophane now, but it's got the Trouble with Tribbles in this, which is hands down probably my favourite original series episode. 1969. And then of course Vulcan by Kathleen Sky, which is kind of an abomination, but not as bad as I thought it was going to be, if I'm perfectly honest. 1978. Some of these I haven't actually opened. Wow. It's like there was someone selling loads of them on eBay, and like they kept doing me deals. At one point they referred to me as a valued customer. Shit. It's when you know you've ordered too much and someone starts calling you a valued customer. What's this one? World Without End. Attack of the Mutant Clones. What? 1979. Triangle. 1983. Death stalks the corridors of the Enterprise. Death's Angel. Look at that cover. Like the sand of time with the thing, and then like Enterprise stuck in one segment of the sand timer. Love it. 1981. Spock Messiah. 1984. The only way Captain Kirk can save the planet and the lives of his crew is by killing Spock. What? Corona! 1984. The Klingon Gambit. 1981. Yesterday's Sun. What? Spock discovers his own son living 5,000 years in the past. 1983. Perry's Planet. A Star Trek experience. 1980. The Abode of Life. I don't remember half of these. 1982. Trek to Mad World. That's quite a cool cover. Oh no, it's not. 1978. The Trellisane Confrontation. 1984. Ooh, McCoy is dining with cannibals. What? Fun. Okay, and as if that wasn't enough, we've then also got some TNG ones. Because I started watching it, I was like, oh my god, I want to read some of the books, and so then I bought some. But luckily I haven't gone as mad. There are only 5. First one is Imzadi. So like, I am obsessed with Deanna Troi and Riker. Like, I think they're so cute. And so then this is like set before the show, and I think Riker has to like travel through time or he like meets his old self. Years before they served together on board the USS Enterprise, Commander William Riker and the ship's counselor Deanna Troi had a tempestuous love affair on her homeworld planet of Beta Z. Now their passions have cooled and they serve together as friends, yet the memories of that time linger and Riker and Troi remain Imzadi, a powerful Betazoid term that describes the enduring bond they still share. During delicate negotiations with an aggressive race called the Sindarin, Deanna Troi mysteriously falls ill and dies, but her death is only the beginning of the adventure for Commander Riker, an adventure that will take him across time, pit him against one of his closest friends, and force him to choose between Starfleet's strictest rule and the one he calls Imzadi. Cute, but yeah, like it shows him like pre-beard Riker and then old man Riker. Interesting. Next, we've got the team up of two of the funniest characters, Q and Law. So we've got Q, who's annoying but kind of hilarious, and Lixwana Troi, the mother of Deanna, who I think is hilarious. Like, whenever they're in episodes on the show, I'm like, this is going to be a fun one. And so then when I found out there was a book where the two of them meet, I needed it in my life. So yeah, I can't wait to read this. For a bit of like, just fun really. It feels like it's going to be like a comedy of manners. Jane Austen in space. The Children of Hamelin, so this is like a riff on the Pied Piper of Hamelin. Interesting. Oh, I haven't told you when these are from, so let's go back to Imzadi. This is 1992. Q in Law is quite fresh looking, if I say so myself. 1991. Children of Hamelin, 1988. Masks, and apparently this is about like a society of people that wear masks, and I think there's like loads of different, like it's just basically everyone wears masks in society and your mask tells you where you are in society, and then something weird happens, as usually does with Star Trek. 1989, and then the last one, A Rock and a Hard Place. Again, it's got like Deanna and Riker on the front. So this is like about a terraforming gone wrong, and so I think it's like basically him trying to survive in a really hostile environment. 1990. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of my... I don't know what this is. It's not a haul because I've been collecting some of these for years, but it's my collection of vintage science fiction and fantasy. Let me know what you thought. What's your favourite book that I've shown you? Which cover are you obsessed with? And what is the oldest book that you own? Because I feel like some of mine were from the 60s, and that's quite old. No offence to anyone that's born in the 60s, but you're vintage. Thank you for watching. Sorry about the light. It's winter in the UK. It can't be helped. So I guess I will see you again soon. Bye bye.